My name's Gage. I'm on the solutions team here at Orah, working with schools across North America to implement Orah, specifically with Veracross for insights and alerts, attendance, and emergencies. As a bit of an agenda for this webinar, I'm going to go over some slides, give a background on Orah, how we work with Veracross, and then jump back and forth between those slides and the product itself. There'll be some time at the end of the webinar. If there are any questions, you can answer those as well. And then we'll also be sending the webinar package after this as well to the attendees as a recap. And our contact information will be provided as well if anybody wants to have a further conversation. Jumping into this, again, this is a webinar specifically for Orah and how we integrate with Veracross. We do have other partnerships with SIS platforms such as Fax and Blackbaud, and those are similar as Veracross integration as well. Just a bit of context about Orah. We started in 2015, and we started primarily as a platform for boarding schools. So very complex solutions there, and have expanded into the day school space with our expertise that we've gained from the boarding side of things. We're working with over 500 schools across 20 countries and helping all these schools with very similar issues. It's an example of who we're working with. We're trusted by leading schools across the globe: Philip Exeter, Ridley College, Priory School, and Crossroads School, to name a few. Getting back down to the base of things here and why Orah is important and why we're working with Veracross is that we understand at Orah that schools need to account for students while they're in their care. We're an all-in-one platform to do so and fill in the gaps between when a student arrives at school and when they leave. This page here is a representative of our tier 1 of the Orah products, and this is an insights and alerts dashboard. So if I jump over into the product itself, our insights and alerts dashboard will either pull data directly from Veracross if you remain taking attendance within Veracross, or it will pull the data in real time from Orah if you take attendance within Orah. And I'll explain that process later on. What this does, though, is it gives us a much cleaner and better visual on our attendance insights and gives us much more customizable filterability and ability to sort students based on certain concerns and certain records. We'll see here that I'm looking at my main board for the past 30 days. I can filter this down into many different preset boards that I have for, let's say, specific sport teams, specific grade years, specific criteria of students that I want to filter on. And then I can also filter by any given duration of time that I want to look at. When I'm scrolling down here, we can see some major things on this are attendance heat maps, giving us insight into attendance of classes over certain periods of times, putting front and center students with the most unexcused, excused absences, as well as students with the most tardies. We can look at our attendance trends and as well as more visual charts of attendance by excuse type. A good tool down here to use is our filterable class attendance sheet here. And an example of this was I've been working with a school that wanted to filter and see every student that had more than a certain amount of tardies in a class. They wanted to see all students that had more than 4 tardies. If I open that up, go up here, I'm at 30 days, put this at 12 months, I'm sure students will come up. These are all students in the past 12 months that had more than 4 tardies. So we can filter that in many other ways as well, but that's just an example there. Another way of insights and alerts and how that's used within Orah is actually alerting us both internally and externally of students that are hitting certain thresholds. Understanding that there may be some alerts already that you're able to set up within Veracross, Orah takes this a step further and enables you to alert staff internally. Typically, schools are using this to stay on top of students that are reaching a threshold of maybe 8 classes that they've missed in a semester. So we can set up a role for 8, but most schools will set up an alert for prior to that, so we can be proactive and have that conversation. So a lot of schools are setting that alert to hit 6. We can set this up over any given time frame. Simplicity's sake, I'll just put it 3 months, and then to decide when this alert goes out and who this alert goes out to. So of course, we're going to want to alert internally to a certain staff member, but we also have the ability to alert contacts of students. So these will be their parents or guardians associated with them within Veracross, and then the students of themselves. This is completely up to you on who you want to get these alerts. Another key thing within Orah is that it enables us to account for students in real time and have these real-time attendance records. As I alluded to at the beginning of the webinar, a lot of tools right now and SISs help you understand when a student arrives and when a student departs. But where Orah really fills in the gaps is that we do both of these things and then take that a step further and give you a class by class step of where that student was while they were at school at any given time where a student should be. How this looks is that we're using routine processes to get real-time awareness of student locations. So this comes from class attendance, late arrivals, dismissals, check-in and check-outs outside the classroom, and then also student leave and absences that are excused either by sport coaches, staff, administrators, or the parents themselves. First thing that we want to make everybody aware of is our check-in process for students that are arriving late or students that are leaving class and leaving school early. Understanding that a lot of schools may be using another software to do this that doesn't necessarily integrate great with Veracross, or they'll just be doing a manual check-in and check-out with reception. How we solve for this is that if students are arriving late, they can go to reception and use an iPad kiosk. They can check in either by scanning a QR code, which is ready this year, or by just selecting their name. They can say they're arriving late, give the excuse as to why they're arriving late, and then create that pass and check in. What this does in real time is it accounts to the student to be on campus and logs that in the system immediately. But it then will also reconcile attendance records within Orah. And this is where the tier 2 taking attendance comes into play. So if a teacher had already taken attendance for that student and marked them as not being present in class and having them as absent, once this student checks in late through this kiosk, that will be updated in real time to make it so that student's record shows as being tardy. So this is an automatic reconciliation and no manual work needs to be done. Another way that we can do this check-in, check-out feature is also through NFC tiles. What these look like is this is just a $10 tile that doesn't require electricity or Wi-Fi. And students, if they have the Orah app, can just tap in and out to mark themselves as present within that class or at school. These tiles and these kiosks can also be used for students who are leaving early. And the process is exactly the same as what they would do for arriving late. Jumping into how we're taking attendance within Orah. Attendance can be taken within Orah in a few different ways. And to preface this as well, of course, everything that I'm showing you today is on my computer, but Orah has native apps for both Android and Apple, and they have the exact same functionality as what I'm showing you today. The apps are obviously very handy for sport coaches or teachers on field trips to take attendance, as they typically do not have access to a computer when they're on those excursions. What it would look like if somebody is taking attendance within Orah while on the computer is we recommend them to do it through our web browser extension. And what they do is they just click into the extension, keeps them signed in, and it will pull their schedules directly from Veracross. And they would just click into the schedule, the class that they want to take attendance for, and then all the students who are within that class will show up here for them to mark. So of course we can mark them as present, absent, tardy, and go through all this. Something to mention here is that if students have an excused absence that have been submitted into the system, whether it's by parents or by a teacher or by a sport coach, this is going to show up in the roll check so that the teacher knows that they do not need to account for that student. Another thing to note here is that you don't need to be within the Orah platform to open up this web extension. I can be showing a presentation like I am right now on my computer. And in most cases, teachers are doing this while having their LMS open. For example, Google Classroom or Canva, and taking attendance for students. I would just click complete on this, and that would be submitted into our records immediately. Another thing to note here on the attendance side of things is for sports coaches. So the first thing is that we can take ad hoc roll checks within Orah, or if a sports coach has taken students off of campus, they can filter down to certain students based on different criteria, select all the students that they want to create a certain pass for. For example, if this is the basketball team, and then they can create one pass for all the students at the exact same time. Your pass templates are going to look much cleaner than this. This is a demo account, but needless to say, all they would go is go in here. They would click something that would say like sport pass. They would click in, they would put in all the details. Is it a one-off thing, or is there a basketball game every Wednesday at 3 p.m.? And do they want to make this recurring? Those are options we can initiate as well. Once they do this, they would just click save, and these passes would go automatically into the back end here, into the scheduled area. And then these students are automatically going to be reconciled within their attendance records, understanding that they're not going to be in their classes at the given time that they have a pass for. That has been provided by their sports coach. While we're in the passes area here of Orah, we understand that most schools have a system right now where parents are submitting excused absences either through a Google Doc online, example, a Google Doc that's been hyperlinked into your Veracross parent portal, or a lot of schools are having parents email or call in to the administrative office and then having the administrators or the registrar manually input these requests into Veracross to account for their students. With this, of course, comes some delay in processing these requests, and oftentimes makes its attendance records aren't as accurate, and teachers don't have a great understanding of who should and shouldn't be within their classroom at a time that they're taking attendance. How we solve for this is that parents can still email or call into the office, and administrators can submit a pass on the back end here that would automatically be reflected into the roll checks that teachers are taking. Or typically what schools are doing is that they're embedding a secure parent link into their Veracross portal. Parents just submit their email. They get a 2-factor authentication code sent to that email to ensure it's them. They're going to get a list of the students that are associated with that email in Veracross. They'll see pass templates that you set up on the back end. So these might be sick passes, vacation passes, college campus visit passes, etc. And then they would put the details into that and submit. Once that's submitted, these are going to show up into the scheduled page here or the requested page if you want to have the ability to review them before they're in the system. Another thing to note is that we can cut the amount of communication by more than half with parents while getting these excused absences in, because we can require parents or guardians to submit documentation for certain passes upon their submission. So if they're going on a campus visit, or if their student is going to be out for more than 2 or 3 days sick, you can require that they upload a certain document within that pass so it is there among the first request. Moving beyond attendance and how that's done within Orah is really encompassing and taking our attendance records and real-time availability and turning this into emergency readiness. So a lot of schools have varying emergency processes in place, and some are using software, some are not. Orah is the one-stop shop for all of these things. And the value in this is that when we are taking attendance within Orah, we associate a location with where that attendance is being taken. And we know the last known whereabouts of a student if an emergency ensues. If that takes place, if an emergency takes place, we can use the Orah platform either on the computer or on the app, and we can start an emergency roll check. Most schools are going to have maybe 6 templates here, 3 drills and 3 real emergencies. Let's just say in this case, a lockdown. When I open this up, we're going to have certain alerts and stuff initiated that are going to be sent out, so we can actually send out alerts to staff, of course, with instructions and steps forward on how to react to this emergency. And we can also have alerts be sent to students if we would like, and parents as well. This is up to you while setting up these templates. We can associate locations with where these are going to be taken. And once we initiate them and staff get the alert of taking this, they're going to have to go in and account for all students that they currently have within their schedule. So they would go in here and mark students as safe. And in real time, it's going to update these students to being safe and their location of where I'm accounting for them. Something to mention here is that since we're also accounting for excused absences within Orah and students on leave, those students who we know don't need to be expected on campus will not need to be accounted for in most cases here. If we're in a shelter-in-place situation and we see somebody walking down the hallway that actually isn't typically within our purview of accounting for, we can actually type them into the system and account for them as well. What would happen here is that for me, it would show that I've accounted for this student, but also their teacher and administrators would be able to see in real time that this student has been accounted for as well. So there's no unknown on the back end of if somebody has accounted for another student or not. Then we would complete this emergency roll check and submit it. Moving on from that, that's the overview of the general Orah product. There's a lot more intricacies that we can get into, but the insights and alerts phase on tier 1 of Orah then moves into insights, alerts, attendance taking, and passes is tier 2. And then tier 3 is all of the above, including emergencies. I'd like to go over some case studies now of renowned schools that we've worked with and solutioned and helped them with their attendance processes. Phillips Exeter Academy is an example of that. And before working with Orah, staff, faculty, and students navigated a paper-based pass system requiring multiple approvals. This was obviously very timely and not the most accurate. Now Philip Exeter works with Orah, and they know where students are expected to be while they're in their care. So they have a paper trail and understanding of where students are at all times when they're on campus. And that kind of alludes back to the point I made at the beginning of the webinar of Orah fills in the gap of when a student gets to campus, gives us an understanding of where they are throughout the whole time on campus, and then also accounts for when they leave. We've also expanded into a standardized processes with dorm checks with Philip Exeter as well. Another example of a case study that Orah has, in a school that Orah has worked with, is the University School of Nashville. So before our partnership, the faculty there was not taking attendance. They had manual follow-ups, tracking attendance data and spreadsheets. This was roughly 15 plus hours that divisions heads were using monthly to reconcile for this. With Orah, they're now saving that 15 plus hours with auto reminders and increased roll completion rates. Students are held accountable for tardies and truancies, and they have real-time attendance in 4 weeks. One last case study will be with Ridley College. And what they did with Orah was they unified their day and boarding attendance to one system. So before, they were running two separate systems for day and boarding, and students led to misused handoffs and gaps in communication. Now they have a unified attendance for both day and boarding students, and they have attendance insights that are now shared across support teams and not locked into spreadsheets. I know I went over a lot today of Orah features and case studies of schools that we're working with, but we're also working really hard on the back to implementing new products within Orah to really make us a true one-stop shop for independent schools. How we're doing that is within the next 6 months, we're planning on launching automated attendance, automated dismissals, planning on giving a solution for extracurricular activity management, visitor management integration, as well as medical dispensaries for boarding schools. There's a lot more in the works as well over here at Orah, but these are some main call outs that a lot of schools that we're currently working with are really excited to implement when they're ready. As I mentioned at the beginning, we'll be sending out a recap of this to all attendees. But if you have any particular questions or want to schedule time to go further into depth on certain product areas or how this could benefit your school, please do send me an email at gage@orah.com and we can set up some time. Thank you, everybody, for joining in today. Again, we're really excited for the work we're doing here at Orah and hope to better your attendance and emergency processes wherever you may be. Thanks again. Take care.
This demo was a high-level overview of the Orah platform. The recommended next step from here is to book in a call with one of our school solutions experts who will ask you a bunch of questions to understand how your school operates, and then based on the knowledge of hundreds of conversations with other independent schools, recommend some solutions to those challenges that you're facing right now. The ultimate goal of this session is to leave you with a better idea of whether Orah is right for you or not. There's no obligation to continue if it's not, but we can guarantee that it'll be an impactful 30 minutes. To schedule in your session, head to orah.com/workshop, fill in the form, and you'll be routed through to your local expert. Have a great day.